Hi, this is Open Up Resources, Algebra 1, Unit 5, Lesson 1, Business Sense. We are learning about some options as you are looking for intersections of two lines of an equation, and we're putting it in the context of people trying to get some home improvements done. So, the Martinez twins, Carlos and Clarita, are trying to find a way to make money during the summer vacation. They overhear their aunt complain about how difficult it is to find someone to care for her pets. So while she's away on a trip, Carlos and Clarita know they have found their perfect solution. Not only do they have a large unused storage shed on their property where they can house animals, they also have a spacious fenced backyard where pets can play. They decide they need to clean the storage shed where they plan to board the pets, so they have decided to hire a company to clean the windows. After collecting the following information, they have come to you for help in deciding which window cleaning company they should hire. So we have Sunshine Windows that charge $50 for each service. Let's go ahead and let's use a color here. Use blue for them. $50 for each service call and $10 per window. That's Sunshine Express. And then we have Painless Window. Oh, wrong color. Painless Window. It charges $25 for each service call and $15 per window. So which would we recommend and why? And so we need to be able to convince them using tables, graphs, algebra, all those different pieces that we know. So let's go ahead and start with a table. It's hard to graph without a table. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just do this in a box over here. So I'm going to start with, let's just do windows. That's really big. It's a little smaller. Okay. So windows, and then we'll do E for express and P for pain. But before we can really do this table, we almost need to figure out how we can solve for each of these things. So let's go ahead and write an equation for express windows. I'm going to go ahead and put express windows. It is going to be 50 no matter what, and then it's going to be 10 per window. And then we have painless. They are going to be 25 for each call plus 15 per window. The 15 is going to repeat, the 25 will not. So that's why it goes with there. All right, so let's go ahead and work on our table here. So if we have no windows, then our express is still going to be $50. Just for them to even show up is $50. If we have one window, it's going to cost them another $10, so that's $60. Two windows, another $10, so that's $70. Three windows is going to be $80. Four windows, $90. Five windows, $100. And we'll do one more, kind of run out of space here. Six windows will be $110. Okay, so now let's go back up and see what painless would be. Painless would start with 25, and then the next time they would be 15 more, which is 40. And then after that, they're another 15, which is 55. And then we add another 55 or 15 here, and that's 70. And another 15, that's 85. And another 15, that's 100. Oh, what did I notice? Another 15 is 115. So if you'll notice right here, we have a match where they are the same. And because really, it just depends on how many windows they have. We don't even know how many windows they have. So if they have less than 4 windows, we know we might want to go with one of them. But if they have more than 4 windows, they might want to go with somebody else. So you could use a table to figure out what that price spot is, basically where that equality, it doesn't really matter. So from here, let's go ahead and solve it algebraically. So there's our table. Let's do an algebra. So because we want to know when they are the same price, we're going to do 50 plus 10W. Kind of looks like a division, doesn't it? Plus equals, when does that equal? 25 plus 15W. So from here, we want to, let's take away 10W from each side. Those will cancel, leaving 50 equals 25 plus 5W. Okay, from here, I want to get rid of the 25 from both sides. I know this is going into words. I apologize for that, but we don't need all of that. We'll be able to read through it here in a minute. So 25 equals 5W. And then to get rid of that, we need to divide by 5. 25 divided by 5 is windows equal 5. At 5 windows, it really doesn't matter. Now it says also with a graph. So I actually have a graph already made for this. So here I've put the Sunshine Express people in blue. So we started at 50 and we're going up 10 over 1 every time. Up 10 over 1, up 10 over 1. That's my slope. And it's, notice one of these little boxes is 10. So that's my blue line. Painless, I start at 25 and then I have to go up 15. So it's a little bit harder to graph with these. And if you notice right here, they mate at 5 windows is $100 for both of them. So we get the same thing no matter which method we try to use. So let's see what else they need to do. So once the windows are clean, they also want to have window frames repainted to make the storage shed look more appealing to potential customers. If it doesn't look nice, people are going to think you're not going to take care of their animals. They've decided to hire a company to paint the windows. Again, they need our help. Glad we're such a good resource. And they want to talk to Paint by Number. So let's go Paint by Number. Charges $100 for the standing the frames and masking the windows with tape, and then 16 hours per hour for painting. But Paint It Right charges 24 hours for all the labor, and then they have just a disposal fee for all the trash, because that's legit. You have to pay to get rid of that. So which company would you recommend and why? So again, we got to use that same thing. And again, they still haven't told us how many windows they're working on, and maybe they're trying to decide, do we want to do all 20 of them? Do we only want to do 5? How many are that bad? So maybe they don't know either. So let's go ahead and start with our equations. So far, Paint by Number, they need, let's do N for number. They are 100 to do all that work, and then it's 16 per hour for the painting. And then if we go to Paint It Right, let's do an R for them. They're 24 per hour. So let's see, I don't want to do the 24 first. I like putting my starting one. So the set fee is 38, and then it's 24 per hour. I like to be consistent with this. All right, so this table I'm actually going to do slightly different. We're going to go across to the top for one of them. So we're going to do windows, and then we're going to do the numbers, and then we'll do the right. We want to make sure we have plenty of options on here. If we have 0 windows, then the Paint by Number is still going to charge $100. And then we've got the Paint It Right will charge 38. I'm just going to get those going. Okay. So then if we have 1 window, Paint It Number is going to be another 16 on top of that. So this is going to get really big really fast. Go ahead and keep going with up here since these are the big numbers. 2 windows is going to be, what am I doing? 2 windows will be another 16, so that's 132. And then a few more windows is another 16, 148. and then do another window. We need another 16, which is 164. This one's a little harder to do in our heads. 5 plus another 16 is 180. And then we go to 6. Another 16 is 196. Let's go ahead and just go a little bit further here. 7, we had another 16 is 212. And 8 is another 228. 216, yeah, 228. And let's just do 9. We got a little more space here. 9 is another 244. Okay, so with these guys, we're doing 38 and then we're adding 24 to it. So this one is only 62 when we do one window. If I add another 38, I am at 80. No, what am I doing? 2 windows. Yeah, 86. So I'm adding another 24. 86. And then over here, I'm going to add another 24, which is 110. They aren't matching up very closely yet. Here, I need to add another, there's 134. Then I need to add another, which is 158. And then add another 24, which is 182. Add another 24, and I'm at 206. And we're getting closer. Add another 24, I'm at 230. And I've got another, we'll do 254. Okay, so I noticed that none of these numbers actually match, but it is somewhere between 7 and 8 that they tend to cross. So this one goes almost to 230, and this one is going almost to, it does go to 230. So somewhere in there, we're going to be crossing. Because that's finally when this one gets bigger than this one. Okay, so we might have to use this one mathematically, some algebra or graphing to figure this one out. So let's go ahead and do our 100 plus 16h. I'm going to run out of room up here. Such tiny margins. Yep, I'm going to need that. All right, let's try it again. See if I can write smaller. 100 plus 16h equals 38 plus 24h. And then from here, let's take away 16h. This one's going to cancel. So then I have 100 equals 38 plus 8h. And then let's take away the 38. Hopefully this is old hat by now. So now we've got 62 equals 8h. Get rid of the 8. It doesn't go evenly, so that's good that we didn't get an even number answer there, or whole number answer. So h equals, when I divide that out, it's 7.75 hours, which seems about right because that's between those, and those two are very close, so it's got to be closer to 8. So I've actually already graphed this, and that's what this one looks like. We've got the paint by number starting at 100, and I just kind of picked points off my graph that were going to be easiest to graph. And so that was 5 and 180, and then 10 and 260. And then I took paint it right, started with 24, a little hard, or 38, and then I went up 24 each time. So the ones that were kind of closest were 5 and 180. And then I thought I could probably do 8 and 228 fairly accurately. And then also I wanted one above. So then I did 8 or 9 and 10, 9, 9 and 244. I thought I could do pretty good. So that's how I got those. And they did cross kind of right in that. I scoot that up a little bit. No. So I can, here is 8. So it kind of crosses just before that 8 mark. So it does work out well on that. Okay. Let's go back to our next one. Okay, so both paint companies allow customers to purchase their own supplies. So that'll kind of help, so you're not paying the overhead for that. Carlos has done some research and found the following information. Let's get ready to highlight. Handyman Tools and Supplies sells a small painter's kit that contains 2 paintbrushes and 4 rolls of masking tape for $16. They also sell a large painter's kit that contains 5 paintbrushes and 15 rolls of masking tape for $50. Carlos's dad is planning to paint a couple of rooms in their house and has offered to buy any leftover supplies, so it's okay if they have some extras. Carlos is trying to figure out how much he would charge his dad for each brush and each roll of tape. So to figure out what their cost individually, we have this information. We set it up as an equation. So first of all, Clarita is looking at Carlos' notes and asks, what do P and R stand for? Well, if we look up above here, P, 2 paintbrushes, 5 paintbrushes, 2, 5. So I'm going to say P equals 8. We'll say number of paintbrushes. More accurate. So then R, if P is talking about the paintbrushes, then R must be talking about the rolls of masking tape. So number of rolls of tape. Okay, so Clarita says, I think I can find him using a table or graph. Carlos says, I can use algebra. So what do we want to do with this? So it's a little bit more complicated since we have, it's not a P equals and an R equals, but what we can do is make it a P equals or an R equals. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do this first one in blue. We'll just do that one in blue. So if I want to change this to a P equals, and the reason I'm using the P, one, it's first, and 2, those are the smaller numbers. 5 will go into those 2, and 2 will go into those 2. So I know when I divide, I'm going to have nice numbers to work with. So if I take away 4R from each side, I'll end up with 2P equals 16 minus 4R. So then when I divide by my 2, I'm going to end up with P equals 16 divided by 2 is 8. 4 divided by 2 is 2R. Oh, plus. That's a plus. All right. So now let's do the other one. 5P, I'm going to subtract the 15R because I don't want that on this side. So I'm going to have 5P equals 50. All right, not a 1. 50 is first. 50, oh, no, what's I doing? Up here it is a minus because we subtracted. Let me just make sure I am minus and a minus. 50 minus 15R. And then we divide by 5. P equals 50 divided by 5 is 10 minus 15 divided by 5 is 3R. So I have this equation and I have this equation that to me is a little hard to read. 8 minus 2R. Okay, so now I've got a couple of options. I might need some space down there. I can see what they equal each other, or I can start with my table. So I think I will go ahead and start with a table first. So I'm going to go ahead and just across the top of this, I normally would put I would normally put my X first, but I think for this case, I want to put my Y, which is the P, because those are the smaller numbers. And 2P plus 4R. So when I'm trying to figure out kind of what my totals are, I think it's going to be easier to kind of work with those. So to do some of this in my head this way. So like if I have zero paintbrushes, then this one up here needs to equal 16, right? And this one here needs to equal 50. So if I have zero paintbrushes, that's a 0. 4 times what is 16? Well, 4 times 4. So I know I can get this one to equal 16. But then I have to plug it in over here. So if I have no paintbrushes, then 15 times what equals 50. So if I divide that out, I actually end up with 3.5. Sorry, what am I doing? Oh, sorry, 4. 15 times 4 is not 50. 15 times 4 is 60. I don't have to solve for this. I'm confusing myself here. Okay, so if I get one paintbrush, that's $2. 16 minus 2 is 14. 14 divided by 4 is 3.5. So there's why I'm getting ahead of my game. So now I know this one equals 16. But then 5 plus 5 times 1, 5 plus 15 times 3.5. If I add those two together, I end up with a 57.5. We're not quite to 50, so we got to keep going. So 2. If I do 2 paintbrushes, that's $4. 16 minus 4 is 12. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you can kind of see what's happening over here. We kind of see that for every paintbrush I get, I'm losing half of a roll of tape, which kind of doesn't make sense because you're not going to really get a half of roll of tape. So I might actually tweak this here in a moment because since I'm not going to get a half roll of tape, I don't even know if I need to do the odd numbers of paint brushes. So if I have 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 15 is 45. So now I'm down to $55. Okay, we're getting closer. I'm going to actually skip 3 because I know I'm not going to have a half a roll of tape. So if for some reason I really need to go back and go in between there, I'll see. But let's just jump to 4. So if I have 4 here, that's 8. 16 minus 8 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. So I know this will equal 16. And then I come over here. 4 times 5 is 20. 2 times 15 is 30. 20 times plus 30 is 50. So using this method, I was kind of able to kind of use some logic to figure out that to get those prices, they must be charging. So I'm going to put it up here so that I have an answer. They are charging $4 per paintbrush and $2 per roll of masking tape. Because that combo seems to be the only way that you can have $16 for the small kit and $50 for the big kit and it be realistic. So that's kind of how you're going about when you do a table. Now, I personally feel like it's easier to solve these two together to be able to figure that out. So I'm going to go back to these two equations, and since they both equal P, I'm going to make them equal to each other. So I'm going to do the 8 minus 2R equals 10 minus 3R. And I'm just going to solve for R. So if I add 3R to both sides, those cancel. That will make 8 plus R, that's a positive now, equals 10. Now I can get rid of my 8 Get that moved over. So R equals 2. That's what I got over here. And then to solve for P, I'm just going to plug it into, let's just plug it into the 8. So P equals 8 minus 2 times R, which in this case is 2. So 8 minus 4 equals 2. So then P equal, or not 2, oh my goodness, 8 minus 4 is 4. Did a brief moment of division. So I still got that same information. And if I would go to my graph, I've already graphed this one. We can graph it using our point slope form, right? We've got starts at 8 and it's going down 2 over 1 every time. So I've got those graphed here. And I start at 10 and I'm going down 3 over 1 every time. This one kind of starts at a funky spot. But notice they cross at 4, 2, or 2, I guess, 2, 4. 2 rolls of tape for 4 paintbrushes for a price. So we are not going to worry. Oh, there's my graph. We are not going to worry about our ready for more at this point. And the takeaways, when we use a graph, how the situation is revealed. So the pros are we have a visual, right? That's very helpful as we're going through some of these. The con might be it's hard to be accurate if answer isn't a whole number, right? Because when we did our first one and last one, that worked out fine. But when we did the second one, where it was 7.75, the graph was not very helpful. Okay, some pros for the table. It's easy to set up most of the time. And it basically lays it out for you, right? Con would be, though, could be very time consuming. Because you don't always know how big it should be. You don't know if you need to get up to 20, if you should count by ones, count by fives. It's kind of hard to do that. Algebra. Pros, it's very straightforward. And it gets accurate answers. Con would be you might have to change formats. So like the second one, we couldn't just do a y that put them equal to each other like we could on the first one. We had to rearrange them and then we had to make them equal to each other. So that one, you might have some extra steps involved. But it also is, it's very, very straightforward in that it always can get that set up. Now there's 2 methods for solving with substitution. You would have learned this last year, but let's just double check that we know. We can make both equations equal to the same variable, then put them equal to each other. The other method we didn't actually do on this one, but let me just kind of show you what that would look like up here. So here we made them equal to each other. What we could have done was only solved for one of these and then substituted it within. So what I mean by that is let's just say the green one. So I solved for P there, but then instead I would put it in for P up here. So what that would look like is, I'll just go ahead and use my colors so you can see 2 times 10 minus 3r, and then it was plus 4r. Plus 4r equals 16. So instead of putting in an r, I put in what r equals. or p, sorry. Instead of putting in p, I put in what p equals, 10 minus 3r. And then from here, you would do distributive, 20 minus 6r plus 4r equals 16. I could simplify these two and get 20 minus 2r equals 16, right? Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Let's subtract 20 from both sides. So I can get this r by itself. Negative 2r equals negative 4. And then when I divide by negative 2 on both sides, r equals a positive 2, which is what I got before. And then I can substitute it in. 10 minus 3 times 2, 10 minus 6 is 4. So I still get the p equals 4. So this method, I'll go back down, is solve for one variable in one equation, then substitute your answer in for the second. Hey, that's all we've got for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again next time.